So I'm going to use this forum to drag you in the mud with me. I have recently gone on record to publicly saying that some wild comment like if your insurance agent suggests you buy the same exact thing you've always bought, you might tend to start thinking about trying to find a new agent. So maybe a little stronger than that. But basically what I was getting at, and I want to get your comment on it, is between buying for the first time ever this farm bill allowing different coverage levels for irrigated and dry land. Mm-hmm. Before you had to do the same coverage, which kind of hurt you. Enterprise units by practice, irrigated dry land, big deal, especially in Texas, a really big deal. Yield exclusion, we haven't talked about much.
Right.
Would you find it odd, not that it couldn't happen, but would you find it odd if you walked in as a farmer and your insurance agent said, all these other changes that they're made in the farm bill, we're not going to look at any of them, we're just going to go with what we've always gone?
Yeah, I think that just the key changes that were made really make just looking at what I did last year really kind of the last thing that you want to hear from an agent, because you just got so many tools at your disposal now to really fine tune a safety net that in past years we kind of had to do that because we were forced to make compromises. We were forced to compromise our coverage level between irrigated and dryland depending on our mix. We were either way underinsured on some of our irrigated ground or way overinsured on our dryland. But now, when just that first step of just separating out coverage levels by practice means that you can't really look at what we did last year as the best solution.
Right.
Because even coming off of the insurance price levels that we've had and these lower levels of prices, it's much more important that irrigated guy have the opportunity on his irrigated ground to look at, what a 65, 70, 75% policy would do. Even if he does stick with optional units as a structure, he can probably make that irrigated ratio of cost to coverage look pretty darn good, even at 70 or 75%, whereas you couldn't do that on dryland with a lot of dryland in the mix. Okay,
Right.
So instead of having to average ourselves at 65, we can differentiate and kind of put our coverage dollars where we need them to be. Then you just add in all the other things: yield exclusion, enterprise units by practice, and I think that it's just an unprecedented opportunity for growers to really put together a crop insurance safety net that actually fits their operation probably as well as we could have ever envisioned in the past.
Yeah, and so just so we're on the record here, he agreed with me that so call him too if you're mad. But the reality is that I made this statement, and a couple different places too. The farm bill on the FSA side appeared to be the most complicated part, but really, if you just sat there and kind of broke them out and compartmentalized the decisions, it actually came out pretty easy.
Yes.
The most difficult decision financially is to evaluate the wealth of things on the crop insurance side, in my opinion.
It is by far the one that's the most complicated and the one that has the most impact.
Right.
Whereas if you kind of make, I wouldn't say the wrong decision, but maybe if you go one route, you could have a significant difference in the outcomes for yourself, and potentially not even at spending a lot less dollars. It's just a matter of putting that structure together. And so what I've advised folks to do, and most of the insurance guys that I've talked to kind of seem to be approaching it this way, is one, they've got that relationship with their customer. They kind of know his likes, his dislikes, what his individual risk tolerance is, whether he's a guy that would really entertain the concept of enterprise units, or whether he's probably going to be the most comfortable at optional units.
Right.
But once they know some of these fundamental things, they can then use those tools to actually provide them with a range of choices that can give them the dollars of coverage they need. And I think that's where you should start.
Right.
Have in your mind what kind of dollar amount of coverage that I need to put in place for this year to protect me.
Right.
Okay, if I have a catastrophic loss across my operation, how many dollars do I need in that insurance policy to be returning to me? Once you do that, then work yourself backwards and find the most effective cost point using all these different tools. Like I say,
Right.
it could be enterprise units, it could be sticking with optional units, it could be adding stacks or SCO. We haven't talked about the yield exclusion provision, but that is probably the most powerful
Right.
tool for adjusting how much coverage a producer can buy, especially on the dryland side, in this whole farm bill.